this sound like you? I really want to spend more time role-playing with my party members. I'm just not sure how. Or maybe this? My whole party has talked about wanting to roleplay more, but once we're actually at the table, our in-character conversations kind of fizzle out. How about this one? Oh, thank God. Help us. Ginny has me and dozens of other clones trapped in her basement for her YouTube videos. Please. Ignore that. That's for a skit. Anyway, a lot of D&D players want more intra-party roleplay. And if that's you, keep watching for not 1, not 2, but 7 foolproof roleplay starters to create character-driven moments with your party. When I say intra-party roleplay, I just mean that the players are having conversations and scenes with one another, rather than just with the DM. I know that not everyone enjoys a really roleplay-heavy game, and that is totally valid. I am a strong proponent of just playing the way that you and your friends will enjoy. But I also think that this kind of play can objectively improve tabletop role-playing games. Here are the 2 biggest reasons I think you should consider including more intra-party roleplay at your table. First, it raises the stakes. When your characters start to build personal relationships, you're not just playing a game, you're telling a story that you can be emotionally invested in. Story is what makes your character choices matter, and what makes consequences feel meaningful. On a basic level, the more that we care about our characters, the more fun and engaging the game is. Now, intra-party roleplay isn't the only thing that does this. Good NPCs can do this, good world building can do this, but it's the biggest contribution that players, rather than DMs, can make to the story. This kind of roleplay takes pressure off the DM. Think about it this way. If 100% of your D&D game is combat, investigation, and interactions with NPCs, your DM has to be involved in all of that. They are constantly performing. But when you and your fellow party members have your own discussions and experiences, that gives your DM a chance to rest and think. This can lead to better sessions, longer sessions, and in the long run, it can even help prevent DM burnout. Unfortunately, DMs can't really force intra-party roleplay. All they can do is leave space for it. Ultimately, it's up to players to make it happen. But even when players are gung-ho to roleplay, it isn't always as easy as it sounds. Sometimes I try to start conversations and they just don't go anywhere. I'll ask a question, they'll answer it, and then we're back where we started. Am I just asking the wrong questions? My party talks a lot about what's happening in the game, but even when we have long conversations, they just don't seem to be building relationships. I don't feel any closer to them afterwards. This isn't a joke. She forces us to wear stupid costumes and perform her ridiculous skits. Get us out of— Gosh, must have my files all mixed up. Ignore that. So weird. Anyways, sometimes just wanting to roleplay isn't enough, even if your whole party is on board. Some questions are dead ends, and not all conversations build relationships. So how do you find and create those interactions that really link characters together and encourage introspection, vulnerability, and growth? Let me walk you through 7 roleplay starters. Imagine these as seeds of relationship-building interactions that you can plant at your own table. These seeds are complementary and repeatable, so you can use all 7 of them if you like, and you can use the same ones over and over. Then we'll go through how to nurture these metaphorical seeds so that they can grow into really rewarding character relationships over time. One of the reasons I love intra-party roleplay is that I think it's really good for narrative pacing. You'll notice that in movies, for example, a really action-heavy scene is often followed by a quieter one. This can allow characters to emotionally process what just happened. That's why I really like this simple little seed. Anytime there's a major moment driven by the dice, follow it up with a conversation about it. For example, let's say that you just finished an intense combat encounter where one of the characters went unconscious. You might sit down with them and say, "Wow, that was scary. We almost lost you there. Were you scared?" Or you might approach the cleric and thank them for saving that party member. How are they feeling about it? This doesn't have to be all about intense emotional stuff either. Maybe somebody failed an athletics check and got swept down a river that you were trying to cross. What a great opportunity to ask them if nobody ever taught them how to swim. Maybe they'll get defensive and you'll have some fun banter, or maybe you'll unlock some interesting backstory information. It was a Friday. The rain was coming down faster than the party's average stealth score when the cleric picks up plate armor. I'd been trying to crack this D&D campaign for weeks, but the session was tomorrow and I still wasn't ready. The only thing left to do was get within melee range of Blackout Drunk. That is, until she walked in. Winona World Anvil, a toolkit for writers, game masters, role players, and world builders. You didn't hear it from me, but word is, she was real easy. You need my help. I have everything you need to get your campaign in order and organize your world, from maps to stat blocks and everything in between. Still singing that old song, Winona? I've had plenty of chances to sign up before. What makes you think I'll change my mind this time? Because of the new whiteboard feature. It's a blank canvas that helps you organize your thoughts with mind maps, mood boards, and flowcharts. Add articles, text, images, and sticky notes. It's got shapes, arrows, and freehand drawings to help you put your ideas to paper. Damn it, Winona, I always knew you'd get me one day. Don't be too sour. You can make a basic account for free, or use the code Ginny to get 40% off any annual membership. There's just one problem left. I can't use a whiteboard feature. This is a film noir, not a film blanc. That was pretty bad. Should have left that one for the voiceover. Try asking other characters for help or advice. Maybe your character is curious about another character's faith and wants to learn more. Maybe you rolled really badly on your attacks in the last combat and you want to ask for some pointers with a crossbow. Just choose something that's a weakness for your character, but a strength for another. Advice could be anything from a deeply vulnerable personal question, like asking characters with strong family ties about how to reconcile with an estranged sibling, to a more casual conversation, like your rough and tumble Outlander character asking more polished characters for advice on how to behave in a royal court or how to dress for a ball. What I love about this one is that it can play out in so many different ways. It can be flattering to be asked for help, so this might bring characters closer by indicating that your character respects them. Or if there's conflict between these characters, the request could be made grudgingly, or be a sort of an olive branch. Maybe the other characters offer terrible advice. Maybe your character follows it. You know that Twitter trend that pops up every once in a while that's like, post your unpopular opinions about movies, or we're posting cancelable food takes today? Well, there's a reason that these threads always get tens of thousands of responses. They're great conversation starters. Stating a strong, potentially disagreeable opinion will draw a response out of nearly anybody. Pick an unpopular opinion and have your character state it with confidence around the nightly campfire, or over drinks at a tavern, or while you're traveling from one location to another. Maybe they think dogs are annoying. Maybe they think magic makes people lazy. Whatever it is, if at least one party member will strongly disagree, that's going to turn into a high energy exchange. If you're game for a little friendly rivalry or some light in-character conflict, I highly recommend making a bet or issuing a challenge or a dare. Even better if it's ongoing, which can really help develop a relationship over the long term. Remember Legolas and Gimli's orc slaying contest? It starts off as conflict and continues to connect them throughout the movies as their friendship evolves. Find something that your character can get competitive about, or somewhere that you disagree with other characters, and put a price on it. Maybe you think the queen isn't really dead, but other party members disagree and swear that the king is trustworthy. Maybe you make it more interesting by letting 50 gold ride on the results. Or better yet, maybe you each agree to bet a valued magic item, or a beloved mount, or even a personal favor to really raise the stakes. Now, as you discover new information about this plotline, there's something linking the characters, and every new development can lead to a conversation. If you notice another character making a meaningful decision, either something important or just something unique or unexpected, then you may want to ask them why. The main use for this one is when you think somebody else might be dropping hints about their character arc. If someone offers the rogue a poisoned dagger and they respond that they don't touch the stuff and then go dramatically quiet, it might be that the player is trying to set something up, something that might never play out if nobody brings it up. But on the other side of this coin, this seed can be a great way to encourage players to consider the choices that their character is making with more intention. Maybe they didn't really think about that particular action as being reflective of how their character feels or what they've been through, but a conversation about it will allow them to connect some threads and develop a deeper context. All relationships are built on connections, so you should take every possible opportunity to recognize or create them. On the most basic level, this means identifying something that your character has in common with other characters. This could be something small, like mentioning that multiple characters seem to have trouble sleeping, or connecting over being the spellcasters in the party. Maybe a few of you are from small towns, or got your education far away from your families. Once you've found a link between characters, you can develop it by bonding over shared experiences, or by identifying what makes your experiences different, or maybe a little of both. If your character has trouble sleeping because they've been attacked and are wary of letting their guard down, but another character has trouble sleeping because an archdevil visits them in their dreams, that conversation can go down all sorts of different paths. Then, once the connection is established, it can be a constant source of roleplay moments in the future. The reverse of the ask for help seed, this one can sometimes have more dramatic results. Have your character offer their advice or their help to another character. This might be a kindness and be received with gratitude, or it might be condescending or straight up insulting. Maybe your character noticed that a party member seems to have gotten very cozy with another party member or an NPC. Naturally, you'll want to sweep in and offer your suggestions for how best to romance this person. This could turn out heartfelt or hilarious or anywhere in between. And of course, if the other character takes you up on it, this could expand into a longer scene or even an ongoing plot thread. Maybe you offer to teach them a new language, and you spend an hour together every night around the campfire practicing verb conjugations in Abyssal. A seed like this could sprout into anything from a romantic scene to a fist fight to a makeover montage. Starting a single conversation or scene is one thing, but creating a culture of frequent, meaningful in-character roleplay amongst your party requires more than just one player asking questions or issuing a double dog dare. So I want to start by reminding you that you can always have conversations above table about what you want to happen in-game. Not only is it important to make sure that everybody wants that kind of game, but it also allows you to make a commitment as a group to both start and engage with intra-party conversations and scenes. One of the most useful things your party can do is to support each other's roleplay efforts. Especially if your party isn't particularly experienced with roleplay and improv, committing to being in character can feel really vulnerable and awkward. You can support each other not just by participating in roleplay with them, but by explicitly telling people, hey, you did a great job today. I loved how you did X, Y, and Z. Getting good at roleplay isn't about never feeling silly or cringy or awkward. It's about being okay with that feeling. And that's way, way easier to do if you don't feel like your fellow players are judging you. Once you and your fellow players have chosen to level up your roleplay at the table, the next step is to make your way through my roleplay tips playlist. It starts with a primer for folks who are new to roleplay, and then we dig into everything from developing a unique character voice to tips for how shy roleplayers can find their voice. Check it out right here.